So for those of you that don't yet know, this is week 3 in our series called Love in Action, in which we've been exploring what it is to have a consciousness of abundance and prosperity. 2 weeks ago, we began with the commitment to bring ourselves to life in a greater way. Because how we bring ourselves to life determines what life brings to us. My challenge to us all was that for this 7 weeks, we will give more of our time, talent, and treasure. Time means hours set aside to nurture our spiritual growth. Talent is how we serve others with our unique gifts. Treasure is sharing our financial resources with those who nurture us spiritually. The challenge was to intentionally move beyond our comfort zone in order to feel more deeply that our presence on this planet does make a difference. Last week we talked about having a new vision for our lives, moving past the small and limited picture we hold of what is possible for us and embracing a greater reality. We explored the different areas of our lives, our health, wealth, our relationships, work, and spiritual growth. And through a powerful visioning meditation, we turned inward to find our personal vision of what it would be like to live a fully abundant life. The challenge for us this week was to repeat this practice often until our vision becomes so vivid that we can feel its call to us to step forward. That meditation is on our website if you want to participate in that. Today we're going to talk about what stands in the way of that vision and how to move beyond it. Our tendency is to think that our mental and emotional blocks are the truth about us, when actually our vision is what's real. Because our vision is our soul inviting us to reach higher. It comes from the infinite intelligence within us, calling us to live a more expansive life. Our vision is like an intuitive awareness of who we were meant to be and the life we were meant to live. Now, we can't force our vision into manifestation, and in fact, that's not even our job. Our job is simply to get out of our own way. So what does stand in the way of our vision? Well, limiting beliefs, of course. False beliefs about who we are and what we deserve out of life. Beliefs about what this world is like, about what other people are like, about what is really possible for regular people like us. In New Thought, we understand, at least intellectually, that the power of our beliefs. We know that we co-create our life experiences out of our belief system. We all have this unconscious set of concepts that comprise our view of the world and of life itself. Our beliefs shape our thoughts, and our thoughts shape our feelings, and then our thoughts and feelings drive what we talk about and what actions we take. Day after day, conversation after conversation, choice by choice, action by action, we manifest more evidence that our beliefs are the truth. While most of us would say we understand this, few of us truly own it. We don't really own that our perspective on and experience of life are not the truth, but rather the product of our belief system. I suspect that the main reason we have trouble owning it is that we don't know what to do about it. Well, here's a way to start. When a challenging situation arises, pause for a second and simply notice what you're thinking about it. What you're making it mean. How you're interpreting what's showing up. then all we really have to do is question that interpretation. In other words, I think Cindy has this tag on her car. Don't automatically believe that everything you think is true. My personal action plan years ago was to get to a therapist to help me dig down into my subconscious mind and root out all my unhealthy beliefs. Look them squarely in the eye and change them. Sounded logical, right? If the lack and limitation in my life was the product of false beliefs, I should just uncover those and change them. Then my life would be a success, right? I worked diligently at this for a long while until I realized that the supply of false beliefs in my subconscious mind was pretty much endless. And so much a part of the fabric of my being that changing them was going to take more than one lifetime, not to mention most of my money. But I learned a lot from all this personal work. But since then, I've realized that there's a more direct way to get to know what my belief structure is, and that's to look honestly at what's showing up. Because the bottom line is, and one we don't often like to look at, is that the quality of our lives, what's showing up, is a direct reflection of what we believe. There is no getting around it. And I've come to realize that while owning my false beliefs is hugely important, it does not automatically lead to my ability to release them. Eventually, I understood that healing would require more than good psychology. It was going to take spiritual awakening. Over the years since, unity principles have guided me along the path to this awakening. Many awakenings, in fact, small ones and big ones. Unity principles offer something much more powerful than beliefs, and you've been hearing about it all morning so far, and that something is truth. Not truth in the sense of another dogma that we're going to ask you to swallow whole, but truth with a capital T. Truth that is universal and unchanging. Truth that our co-founder Charles Fillmore called the golden thread running throughout all the world's great religions. I'm talking about that truth that lands in your soul and satisfies some deep longing. That truth that brings up an aha moment for us, that when our heart immediately recognizes it as something that we've always known. Today, I know with every fiber of my being that truth is the most powerful thing on earth. And that the awareness and integration of truth is the most important work any human being can ever undertake. Because only truth has the power to set us free from those false beliefs, and therefore set us free from fear and lack and limitation. Dr. Ernest Holmes, founder of the Church of Religious Science, said, "Truth known instantly demonstrates." What he meant was that once our understanding of truth moves from our intellect, our heads, down into our hearts, where we not only know it, but know that we know it, our lives automatically change. Greater truth, once integrated in this way, automatically overrides more limiting viewpoints, expands our consciousness, and brings about a greater experience of living. So thank God, it's not necessary to unearth every one of those false beliefs that's lingering in our subconscious mind. Instead, when we see evidence that one of them has taken charge of us, you all know what that evidence looks like? Not totally. All I can say about it is it's usually not a positive experience. Right? I've been having one of those recently, so I'm just starting to wake up. Thank God for the contrast. And the thing is, once we recognize that we've been taken over by something that has made us unhappy or dissatisfied or fearful. All we really need to do is turn our attention toward truth. In unity, we know that what we place our attention on grows. So instead of focusing our time and energy on that which is false, we focus it on what is true and allow truth itself to free us from our stuck places. David Owen Ritz, in his program Keys to the Kingdom, identified 7 spiritual truths of abundance. We're going to go over those this morning. They call them New Thought, you know how we do, and of course, in fact, they're ancient truths. As we hear them this morning, I'm going to invite you to listen with your heart. Listen to which of them resonates within you, for this is the true litmus test of your truth. Know this: if and when your soul resonates with these principles, you will not be the same. And because you are not the same, your life will not be the same. And once you know them, they will not really let you go. Truth has enormous and compelling power. And what happens, and I can tell you this from experience, is that a return to old ways of thinking and feeling will set off a major inner upheaval. In other words, we won't even let ourselves get away with it. To some extent, this upheaval is inevitable as our false beliefs are met by greater truth. And so all I can say to myself and all of you who are walking this journey with me is to take heart and seek support if you need it, because this is all part of the transformation process. This is what it looks like. So don't worry about remembering these. You'll see there's a blue card in your bulletin that has these principles, and so you don't need to try and remember them. Truth number 1, God is the one and only source of our good. God is the infinite whole, the creator and the creation, the essence of everything, the substance of everything. Now this is a very challenging thing to integrate because material prosperity does not appear to be connected to God. It appears that our good depends upon people and circumstances, right? And it appears that we often feel that we have little influence over those people or those circumstances. It seems like things just sort of happen to us. It seems like what happens is completely separate from our thinking. It's not apparent that life happens through us, that our consciousness, the combination of our thoughts and feelings about life, is a magnet drawing to us whatever is in sync with those thoughts and feelings. The great illusion of life is that everything is somehow separate from everything else, but the truth is that everything is interconnected. When we look at the flow of abundance through our lives, we see many channels. We get money from our job and investments and pensions and businesses and partners and other things. And we think these things are the source of our money, but this is not the truth. God is the source. Our job, partner, investment, these are just channels through which God's good flows into our lives. To live this truth is to teach ourselves to continually look to and depend upon God for our good. Now, some of you may find that it's unfortunate that this doesn't mean we get to sit home and do nothing and wait for our good to show up. You know, those pots of gold on the front steps. But if we continue to look to our jobs, partners, or investments as the source, we are saying to the universe, this is the only way I will accept my good. When we know in our hearts that God is the one and only source of unlimited supply, we're able to trust that if one channel dries up, another will open up. This faith keeps our eyes and hearts open so that we can see the new path or the new idea when it appears in front of us. Truth number 2, abundance is a here and now reality. Not someplace other than right here, not something that will come in the far distant future, here and now. We are, at this very moment, in this very place, immersed in lavish abundance. I want you to pause for a second, if you'll indulge me, and just look around this room a little bit. Do you sense abundance in this place? Walk on the beach at night sometime and look up at the sky. There's an infinity of stars up there. Walk on the beach in the daylight and look at the ocean. Count the grains of sand on the beach. Do you question infinite abundance? Everywhere we look, from this room to the beach, to the mountains, to our own backyards, to our living rooms, there is an abundance of God life going on in endless variations. We need to know that, like everything else in nature, you and I are being continuously fed by God's infinite stream of abundance. We often don't realize this. We overlook the abundance in which we already live because we confuse truth with facts. The fact might be, I'm broke today. I look in my wallet and it's empty. But being broke is a temporary condition, so it cannot be the truth. Facts change. Truth does not. When we accept temporary facts as truth, we separate ourselves from the greater reality in which possibilities are absolutely endless. Here's an analogy that makes it easier to understand this relationship between the fact of lack and the truth of abundance. It's very similar to the relationship between the light and the dark. Light is an eternal reality. The universe is flooded with light. Yet we can experience darkness, can't we? If we turned out the lights in this room, pulled down thick blinds over the windows, closed the doors, we'd be sitting in total darkness. We'd be sitting in total darkness in a universe that's full of light. We'd be sitting here saying, well, the universe can't be full of light because it's dark in here. Well, that darkness is a temporary condition that we have created by shutting out the light. Correct? Light is real. We can talk about it in terms of waves and photons and measure the speed of light and turn on a light bulb at night and dispel the darkness, but can we measure the speed of darkness? Can we turn on a darkness bulb? No, because darkness of itself is nothing but the absence of light. And so it is with lack and abundance. The eternal reality of God's creative abundance is everywhere, yet we can experience a life of lack by confusing the temporary and the permanent, the facts and the truth. To live in the truth is to affirm the presence of abundance even in the face of appearances to the contrary. I believe we've heard that before this morning as well. The wallet being empty does not mean that the flow of abundance has dried up, but it may mean that some false belief is temporarily blocking the flow. To override the block, we look beyond the temporary condition and focus on the truth that abundance is a here and now reality. Number 3, abundance is inexhaustible. One of the most pernicious beliefs, and probably the most widespread, is that there is only so much good to go around. God, we see that everywhere, but it's simply not true. Creation is an ongoing activity. Renewal is always happening. A flower seed germinates and grows and blooms and goes to seed and dies, and these seeds germinate and grow and bloom. One person dies, another is born. Everything in the universe is caught up in the ceaseless activity of Spirit's creation. Everything is continually moving from the invisible realm, possibility, to the visible realm, material expression, then moving back again, back and forth, the limitless dance of the universe. So we live in a world that thinks abundance is gained by grabbing more of this and more of that. But this is false belief. Unlimited abundance is the result of knowing with absolute certainty that we are standing in the flow of Spirit. That abundance is inexhaustible because Spirit is always expressing. Here's the thing about that. Whatever we spend, give away, or lose, there's always something else coming right behind it. Contrary to the fear-mongering we hear today, our supply cannot run out because we live in the flow of Spirit. Do you believe this? To live this truth is to rejoice in the flow of good into our lives. It's practicing non-attachment to temporary conditions and generously sharing our abundance. Whatever we give away in faith and trust, that time, energy, money, laughter, hugs, whatever we give away with a joyous heart returns to us somewhere in time. Maybe not instantly, but somewhere in time because the law of circulation demands it. Truth number 4. God is meeting our every need at every moment according to our own acceptance. So here's the thing. Sorry to say it to myself right now. If we are walking around feeling that we have unmet needs, it is not because there is a lack of supply. It's because for some reason we're unable to accept our good. Contrary to popular belief, our level of acceptance is not determined by our psychological state or our level of self-esteem. It is determined in only 2 ways. What we give to life and how we give it. The what? Our time, talent, treasure, energy, love, attention. The how is the energy, the attitude out of which we give it. To live this truth is to give ourselves fully to life, to the task that we do every day, without looking around for the payoff. Live and give in every way with joy, generosity, abandon. Relax and let go. Stop worrying. The universe will faithfully fill the spaces we create whenever we give. Truth number 5 is another one that I see the world could use a little bit more of. Everyone deserves abundance. Looking around the world today, it's obvious that most people do not believe in the reality of unlimited abundance and do not believe that everyone is equally deserving of that abundance. If we did, the world would be transformed. We would create whole new systems and ways of manifesting that belief. What we have is an abundance of scarcity thinking and distribution systems that favor one group of people over others. And so, the rich get richer and the poor get poorer. As our collective consciousness evolves, we will develop more equitable systems. But you and I don't have to wait for this to happen. We can change our lives by knowing that we deserve unlimited abundance and claiming it. You heard that in the prayer today. We claim health. We claim that abundance. To live this truth is something we talk about in my house a lot. Loving ourselves unconditionally. This may require some self-forgiveness work. It may require that we change some of the negative opinions we hold about ourselves. And it may require that we let go of regret over our past mistakes. For now, we can remind ourselves by affirming on a regular basis that by virtue of the fact that we are made of God, we are deserving of good things. Everyone is. Number 6, our vision is the inner awareness of our naturally abundant self. You know that vision we started on last week? We're not making that up. That's not coming from our minds generating pie in the sky ideas. That vision, when we land on the thing that lights us up, that was planted there. That is part of who we are. Perhaps we're afraid to let ourselves know what our greatest vision is, because maybe we're protecting our heart. Our vision is a tender, sweet part of ourselves that our souls want to keep untainted by the messages of the world, or our negative past, or our lack thinking. Our ego tells us that our visions are pie in the sky, unrealistic, imaginative storytelling, but the truth is that our vision comes out of the truest thing about us. And here's the most fabulous part of it all, is we don't often get the whole vision at once. The vision we get for now, we step into the now. We step into that vision now. And when we do that, and when we get in the habit of saying yes to our intuition and our opportunities and what we see coming toward us, when we get in that habit, that vision keeps expanding and expanding and expanding. Living this truth is being willing to risk personal greatness. It's being confident enough to step out and let other people see who we are. It's being willing to risk prosperity and abundance. I'd love to talk more about this over lunch today because I think this is huge. I would like to talk about the question of what is the risk associated with prosperity and abundance. I recently heard Mike Bloomberg say, when he was really frustrated by continuous attacks on him for being rich, I heard him say, "I refuse to apologize for being successful." Right on. But haven't we all seen or even felt this negativity toward abundance? So I want to ask you again this morning, are you willing to risk being prosperous and having an abundant life? Are you? If so, I'd like to hear an amen. Amen. Oh yeah, we're going to try that again. Are you willing to risk being prosperous and having a fully abundant life? Amen. Better, thank you. And finally, truth number 7, our inner guidance will lead us toward the fulfillment of our vision. Our higher self, the Christ within us, is consciously saying, this is what I'm really all about. This is who you were meant to be. Your higher self knows exactly what it's doing. To live this truth is to be willing to follow your inner guidance. It'll show you the way to manifest abundance. It will tell you what to do next. Now that inner guidance is not a voice per se. It's found in the fabric of our lives. It's found in the synchronicities and the people and situations that cross our path. It's our intuition and gut feeling. Trust these things. The vision itself is intelligent. It carries an energy that draws guideposts into our lives. These are not accidents. Other people are not experts on what is right for us. I think I'll repeat that too. Other people are not experts on what is right for us. Amen. Amen. Other people, our higher self, not other people, our higher self knows. So these are the 7 spiritual laws of abundance. And so to close today, I'd like you to take your card out of your bulletin and let's read them together, including the affirmation that goes with it. You do that with me? Number 1, God is the one and only source of our good. Affirm. God is the one and only source of my good. Number 2, abundance is a here and now reality. Affirm, abundance is right here, right now. Number 3, abundance is inexhaustible. Abundance is inexhaustible. Number Number 4, God is meeting our every need at every moment according to our own acceptance. Affirm. God is meeting my every need at every moment according to my own acceptance. Number 5, everyone deserves abundance. Affirm, I deserve abundance. Everyone does. Number 6, our vision is the inner awareness of our naturally abundant self. Affirm, I am naturally abundant. And number 7, our inner guidance will lead us toward fulfillment of our vision. Affirm, I trust my inner guidance to lead me toward fulfillment of my vision for a totally abundant life. And can I hear an amen? Amen. God bless you. Take a nice deep breath, breathing in those words that we're singing. I am the heart of the world. My abundance brings more abundance to the world. Reflecting on the Gospel of Luke chapter 6, give and it shall come back to you. A good measure, pressed down, shaken together, and running over. For the measure that you give is the measure you will get back. We are part of a wonderful web of humanity. Interwoven energies flowing back and forth. There's no need to be concerned about what we will give and how much we will give. Of love, of money, of time, of energy. For the flow is limitless. And you and I are instruments playing in total harmony with the source of all that is. Our work is that of allowing Spirit to act in and through and as us. Our prayer is to be a blessing for all who come in contact with us. We let go of all our concerns. And so as we enter a time of silence, let us allow the mantra, it gives me great joy to be a blessing. It gives me great joy to be a blessing. Reflecting in the silence. place today, we take with us the deep inner knowing that we are expressions of God's infinite abundance. In this awareness, we stand directly in the flow of good and become conduits through which the Holy Spirit pours itself out upon the world. What greater purpose could there ever be? What greater joy? When gratitude wells up and all we can say is, thank you, God. Thank you, God. Thank you, God. And so it is. Amen.